Yourself a hand. That's the first thing we do, because we can't do anything if we're not allowing ourselves to be right where we are. If we're resisting wherever we are right now, all of our energy is stuck. It's frozen and we can't move. We can be judgmental, critical of ourselves and our circumstances, angry, resentment, jealous, you name it. All of that energy keeps us stuck. It closes doors to creativity, to growth, to opportunity, to connection, to communication, to money, and to health. So the very first thing that is essential is that allowing ourselves to be right where we are. Even if for the moment it's terrible. Even if everything is wrong, whatever that looks like or feels like, if we're resisting it, we can't move forward because our eyes and energy are on the judgment. If we can say, okay, all of this is going on, noted. Okay, you know what? I'm a human being. I'm allowed to have whatever it is going on. Once you've stated and proclaimed and aligned with that perspective, then you can ask yourself the next question. What do I want now? What do I want now? And that's a powerful question, because that question, by stating that question right then and there, it opens up the door to new movement. New cars, new relationships, new living opportunities, new connection, new creativity in your job, new insight into what direction you want to go. Then you can say, fine. It always requires radical, I like the word radical, responsibility. People these days want to run from responsibility. They want to blame it on their spouse, their partner, their mom or dad, their job. What happened 10 years ago? What happened 5 years ago? What happened yesterday? The president, the economy, whatever. They want to point the finger at something or somebody else instead of the only place where there's power, and that's here. When I was talking with some people about leadership recently. And leadership is all about responsibility. It's interesting to be talking to somebody about leadership. When you ask them the question if they want to be a leader, and they go, no. I don't want to be a leader. But I'm here to help you with your leadership. Yeah, but I really don't want to be a leader. That's huge perspective. And it's an honest perspective. I thanked the person. I said, thank you for being honest with yourself. Because as long as you're trying to fool people that you want to be a leader and you keep trying to play at a leader, but you really don't want it, you're being disrespectful to yourself, the company, the people that your subordinates, because you're not being honest. But it's about responsibility. See, leadership involves responsibility. It means taking on the responsibility for things to happen. Responsibility. Not reactability, but responsibility. Where you're centered, you're grounded, you have a vision, you know what you want, you're clear on who you are, you know the direction that you want to go. You understand the scope of the relationships that are around you and the value that those relationships play. And you take responsibility for your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. These are the key four: thoughts, words, feelings, and actions. People forget that everything happens up here first. We create spiritually up here in our heads before we manifest something physically. Shane, you were talking about how you've developed software programs. Well, those programs just don't pop out of thin air, right? They exist inside your head until they exist on a piece of paper or in a computer. Right? And so that's true with anything. It's true with relationships. We show up to relationships with certain thoughts, words, feelings, behaviors, skills, perspectives about relationships, and we literally create relationships first in our head by how we think about them, by how we think about ourselves, by how we think about our parents and their relationship. Okay, we never really, it was surprising to me that I learned as a married man before I got divorced. I had no clue of the impact that my parents were as role models for me in relationships. I was probably 38 years old when somebody told me, you didn't just marry, your wife. You married her and her family. She married you and your family. You married a system. And the system plays out. And the system would continue to play out until I became aware of the system that was playing out, until I could observe the system playing out and going, oh man, well, no wonder I'm so messed up. Okay? And it wasn't because my, parents were terrible or anything, but certain dynamics of their relationship had a spillover effect into me even as I was growing up, that I perceived certain things in a certain way, and that created my thoughts, words, and behaviors in my present relationship. But until I knew that, and once I knew that, I could then take responsibility for it and go, whoa, no, this is not what I want anymore. So that's where the radical responsibility comes in, is when the universe says, what do you want? What do you want in your new job? What do you want in your home and in your new relationship? What do you want for your business? What do you want to create? And there's a whole opportunity there for clarity. And until we accept responsibility for getting clarity about what we want, we're going to continue to be kind of all over the map trying to figure it out. Hi, come on in. No, come on in. Hey, good to see you. How are you? Yes, you did. Good to see you.
Just showed up late.
Okay. And just say your name briefly for the group.
Janet.
Janet. This is Janet. And so what I'm trying to get at is to pay attention and take responsibility for what you want. First, allow what is to be is. Allow what is happening to be the way it's supposed to be. Stop fighting it. Stop resisting it. Stop judging it. With allowance and acceptance comes power to change. That's what the turtle reminds us of. The turtle's name is Pace. Okay? And it's about having that peace in the process, because we're okay with being wherever we are, knowing that we can do whatever we want. We can go in any direction that we want in any given moment, unless we think that we've given all of our power away to somebody else or to something else. We can give our power away to people, past experiences, or all sorts of things outside of us. And when I'm coaching, I always kind of draw a little stick figure. I probably have a couple hundred now, little stick figures, and if it's a girl, she looks like this. Forgive the little, distinguishable mark there of a dress, but I always go straight to the board and put this stick figure in the middle to represent the person that I'm helping. And often it's me. Look, whenever I'm helping somebody as a coach, guess who's getting coached? Voila, I'm going, oh man. Because they're coming up with the people that I'm talking to come up with some real gems. Once they get it that, whoa, this is me. I really am a powerful creator. And that goes back to what we said before. We're always first creating spiritually in our heads. So pay attention to what's in your head. Pay attention to the words, the energy, the vibration, the images, the old beliefs and old stories that are still running. We all have them. Nobody is exempt. But every one of us in this room, me included, some part of my present is being driven by some story I've created about myself or other people or work or money or politics or opportunity or sales or whatever it is, based on some old story I convinced myself years ago was actually true. Oh, but it's true. And this is just the way I am. And I'm just going to kind of always be this way. I've never heard the amount of BS that really is. But we tell ourselves that BS all the time. And what's worse is we believe it. And we believe it so much, I'm going to tell you my story now. And then my story is, oh, woe is me, this happened, and don't I really deserve to be angry and pissed off and resentful and, shut down and hate this person or hate that person and to have all the stuff that's going on wrong with me. And then we go, oh, yes, of course you are, of course you are. And so we buy into that loop. And come on in.
Let's go.
What's your name?
Sorry I'm late. Eric Atkins.
Eric, nice to meet you. Have a seat. And so, I know it kind of seems like I'm kind of going all over the map, but what I'm trying to do is paint the picture that we are such powerful creators. If we don't ever realize and take a step back of how powerful creators we really are, we're going to miss a ton of opportunity to create the change that we want. And change is always happening anyway. The thing is we're either resisting it or we're diving into it. I was talking to a client the other day who was talking about a relationship change. And I said, sometimes it's helpful to blow things up. Now, what would I mean by blow things up? Certainly not literally, not advocating.
Make it larger so you can see the pieces inside of it.
Okay, that's one thing, yes. Blow it up and take a look at it. Okay? In fact, see, I didn't use it in that context. So see, this is an example of the coach getting coached. That's an excellent attribute and characteristic of paying attention and using our perspective, is getting it under a magnifying glass and going, what is really happening here? Okay? And I'll stay on that for a second. The whole key when we're doing that exercise is to pay attention to our state of mind. Because if I'm looking at it through the judgment lens, okay, I'm not going to see everything. I'm too busy judging, oh, that was bad, that was stupid, that was a failure, that was terrible. Okay? This was painful. This shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay? And if I'm looking at anything through that perspective, again, I'm losing the opportunity to see potential, to see change, to see anything new. So I want to instantly go to non-judgment. Oh, let me look at the magnifying glass and go, what is going on? Let me just observe. Isn't it interesting that? Isn't it interesting that? Those are the four most powerful words you can use when you're looking at yourself, somebody else. Isn't it interesting that so-and-so shows up like they do? Or the way they did today? Or that they said that what they just said? See what I'm saying? I'm observing. I'm curious, which means I'm open. If I say, they've got no business that, they shouldn't have said that, they really didn't mean that, or they really meant that, then I'm closed. because all I'm seeing is the judgment. But by getting curious, I open the door and I start to develop my awareness, my self-awareness and my awareness of others. I go, that's interesting. If what they did is more about them than it is about me, what's a healthy way for me to look at it? You know, typically that's true. What people do, what people think, say, feel, and act is all about them. I'm not saying we don't play a role in our relationships and influence people and things happen because of our interaction. But when somebody says something, allow them to own it. Believe them when they say it. We don't ever, though, have to take ownership of it, to make it about us, or to think that we're responsible for fixing it for them. That's their job. Now, if we play a role in something, we should certainly take a look at what our role is and take responsibility for that. I'm not recommending abdicating that. But it becomes essential to our mental health, to our self-esteem, to our sense of responsibility, to allow other people to be responsible for their own stuff. Not my monkey, not my circus, not my monkeys. Or not my, however it is, not my monkeys, not my circus. Okay? Because people want to put their monkeys on our back. And you know, sometimes we're like, oh, hook me up. Go ahead, put your monkeys on me. I'll carry them around for a while. I'll fix it all for you. And if only you do this, you'll be fine. Or if only I do this, you'll be cured. Nope. This is where you say, no, here's your monkey back. I love you, I care about you, but I can't take care of you, nor can I care for you the way you should be caring for yourself. So I'm giving away all the monkeys back. And I'm going to allow people to have their monkeys and for it to be okay. Now, why is it okay for people to have their monkeys? Sure. Why is it okay if I have my monkeys? That's how I learn. That's my path.
Because it's your responsibility.
Yeah. Because I own it. And that's another important thing that I've learned is when we first honor our path as unique to us and being our unique path, full of everything that has come along with it, it's one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves is allowing ourselves to be human and to have our own path, including all of the stuff that comes with it, past, present, and future. And then there's a huge gift when we say, even in our minds, this person has their own path. Your path and my path, not the same. We might run parallel for a while. We might connect in certain places to share certain experiences. But your path is not my path. My path is not your path. And so who am I to tell you that you shouldn't be on the path that you're on? Who are you to tell me that I shouldn't be on my path or to have my stuff or to attempt to fix my stuff? It's not your job to fix my stuff. It's mine. It's my path. And so allow yourself to be human and to have your own path, as perfectly imperfect as it is. And allow other people to have their own path, as imperfectly as it is. And when you have that gift, you finally get a sense of freedom because you've cut that codependent cord that keeps you attached in an unhealthy way to other people's emotions, their life, their situations, sense of responsibility with everything from emotional responsibility to financial responsibility to their health responsibility and all of that. No. And there's nothing bad. Life has a lot of stuff in it and a lot of terrible and tragic things. But if somebody chooses a certain path that includes a lot of harm for them, That's their path. I can attempt to intervene, I can attempt to help, but if I get drawn in and I become an enabler or become codependent on their situation, or they become codependent on me, that's an unhealthy situation. Okay? And in reality, what do? I honor them in their path by allowing them to walk their path, even if it means extreme situations for them. Because I can't control any of that anyway. I can still support, love, and honor. But give yourself the gift of being human, and then turn around and give that gift to everybody else. Your parents, your friends, your partners, your co-workers, your boss, your past relationships, all of your exes. You know, any relationship that's created pain. Honor that, honor yourself and the other person by setting yourself free from that old attachment. Because as long as that attachment is there, it's holding you back. They're not thinking about it half as much as you're thinking about it. Trust me, they're moving on with their own stuff. And when you pay attention to that, you start to set yourself free of those attachments, because those can get in the way of our creativity. Because we're spending too much time taking responsibility for somebody and something else that is none of our business. And we're not minding our own business. Which allows you to set yourself free of the opinions of other people about your business. Oh, thank you for sharing. I know that you love me and support me. I'm going to ask that you trust me and encourage me with affirmation and support. And if you're not available for that, that's okay. I respect that too. I would prefer that you not say anything. See what I'm saying? So we can become very clear in our request of what we want from other people. Some people will blurt out and they'll assume us to jump in. Instead, ask, how could I best help you? Okay? Or we can say, you know what? Whatever's going on, I trust you in this situation to know what is best. You can always count on me to encourage you. Okay? Rather than getting sucked in and drawn in and a bunch of monkeys on your back. So, all of this starts depending on where our sense of REAL is, and who can tell me what REAL means? No cheating.
I had to guess. That's your own fault. Respected, esteemed, accepted, and loved.
Yes. Okay. I know from my own path that the times that I was most unavailable in my life for relationships and work and whatever I was doing, it was because I was really low on self-respect, self-esteem, self-acceptance, and self-love. I was not empowered. All of my power was outside of me. All of my power, how I felt emotionally, depended on my wife, my kids, my parents, how much money I had, whether I paid my bills or not, whether I did well at work. So all of that was outside of me. And so because all of that was outside of me, it was real easy for me to go into periods of low self-respect, low self-esteem, low self-acceptance, low self-love. And then you get caught in that mindless loop that you just can't get out of it. The biggest gift that we can give ourselves after allowing ourselves to be human is to take responsibility for our real self. Because whose job is it to build my self-respect? I can't give Janet self-respect. I can create conditions for respect to be experienced, okay? But inside Janet's heart, I cannot give her her own self-respect, hence the term. What happens is when we're growing up, we're looking outside of us for all of those things. We're looking to our parents first, then it's school and our teachers, and then our friends, and then our environment and all sorts of other things. We keep looking outside for validation of our REAL. And everybody is different in their REAL experience, depending on how they grow up, where they grow up, their culture, their lifestyle, their life experience, all that other stuff. So again, there's no judgment. We're all human. We're all going to be different because we all have different paths. But the key to personal empowerment is accepting, honoring, and taking responsibility for your REAL. And when I start to do that, my power starts to come back to me. Other people, other circumstances, stuff that happened in the past start to lose their grip on me, and I become more empowered. I become more authentic. When I was acting inauthentic, it was because I did not trust my REAL self, and I didn't have enough REAL self to create that feeling of safety that it says, I'm John Hyatt, this is me, this is my preference, this is what I want, this is what I like, and this is what I'm going to do. And I don't care whether you support me or not, it doesn't matter. This is who I am. The more you cultivate that, again, the higher your empowerment grows. And then the more available you become for interacting with other people in their REAL self. I started to realize that the true value of a relationship, the only way that I really wanted to relate to people, was as myself, just as I am. And to be accepted and loved and respected and valued just as I am. And that I wanted to give that gift also to other people. Okay? Because if I'm not being real, you're getting the fake John Hyatt. And if you're getting a fake John Hyatt, I'm disrespecting myself because I'm being inauthentic and inconsistent with who I am and my REL self. I'm certainly being disrespectful to you because somewhere in the back of my mind, you don't deserve the real John Hyatt. You can't handle the real John Hyatt, or you're not supposed to get the real John Hyatt. And so how you're acting to me then in that moment is that if I'm being fake John Hyatt and you and I are in a relationship, how are you acting towards me? You're not acting to the real John Hyatt. So unconsciously, you're being somebody else because you don't even know the real John Hyatt. I'm not allowing you to see it. Therefore, you're not able to experience the real John Hyatt. So who wants to be in a relationship where both people are faking it? I don't. I tried it. It didn't work. It wasn't much fun. Sucked. And if it sucked for me, I know it sucked for the other person. Okay? So a higher standard of relationships for me was first the relationship I wanted to have with myself that said, it's okay to be the REAL John Hyatt. Okay? And it's okay to represent the real John Hyatt to other people. And it's okay if they accept me or if they reject me. Because who's that about? That's about them. That's not about the real John Hyatt. Okay? And so when you remove rejection from the table, I like that. Remove rejection. Because rejection is powerful. Because we all want to be accepted. We all want to belong. But we're afraid of rejection. In sales, that's the biggest thing. People don't want to be rejected in sales. They don't want somebody to say no. In relationships, you don't want, if you really dig somebody, you don't want them to say no. All right? Friends, you don't want friends to say no, because when we hear no, the tendency is the first thing to go to is their no is about me, they're rejecting me, therefore I am of little REAL value. Okay? I don't belong, I'm not good enough. Okay? And rejection or acceptance, all of that power is out there for other people to use and to decide how they want to use it with us or against us, and that's our trigger. Okay? So then I'm codependent because I need you to accept me. I need you to accept me, because if you don't, I can't handle it. Okay? But if I show up real, I'm safe. Because all my power's on the inside. You don't have my power. I want a relationship with you. I don't have to have one. And if you say yes, awesome, we have an opportunity. If you say no, I go, got it, thank you. Thank you for speaking your truth. I wish you well. This is not a fit. It's okay, it doesn't have to work. I've taken rejection off the table. Nobody can reject me except me. Nobody can reject me except me. And as long as I'm rejecting myself, then I'm going to be really stuck and really miserable. And it doesn't matter who accepts me. I don't believe it when they do. I don't trust it. And so I only have rejection energy going on in that regard. But if I can take rejection off the table, that it's impossible for you to reject me. All you can say is, no, we're not a fit for whatever. Or no, thank you. And then I can go, oh, okay, no problem. Thank you. It takes everything from a have to a want to. Do you want to play? Do you want to play in a relationship? Do we want to play? Do we want to show up as our REAL self? Okay? Because if I'm not getting your REAL, I don't want that. I want your REAL. Okay? Because I want to be my REAL. I want to be my real. And so, if I reject you, I'm not rejecting you. I'm just saying we're not a fit for whatever it is we think we want to create together, and that's okay. We don't have to. So the pressure's off. The balloon has been popped. All that power that I was projecting outside of me onto people, jobs, the economy, and the president, and everything else, I can pop the air on all of that and say, it's okay. You don't have to. We don't have to agree. Imagine in the social media political world, you just said, we don't have to agree. This is my opinion. Oh, you don't have to agree with my opinion. I respect your opinion, whatever it is. I'm not going to try to convince you that I'm right. I'm interested in how you arrived at your information, but we don't have to. You don't have to be right, and you don't have to agree with me. My acceptance isn't dependent on whether you accept me or not. I've already accepted myself. I'm cool. And so take rejection off the table across the board. Take it off the table in your business, in your intimate relationships, in your family relationships, with your kids. It's impossible for my kids to reject me as a dad. Now, they can disagree with me. They can disown me. Okay? But they can't reject me as a dad. If I'm showing up as the REAL John father role, I'm going to love them anyway. Just means we won't spend time together. Fortunately, that's not happening. But I just use that as an example. We spend so much time worried about, oh, what if this person does this, or this person cuts me off, or this opportunity goes away forever, or this person says no, then what does it mean about me if they say no? I'm doomed, I'll never have this. We fill in the blank with all this doomsday stuff, and there goes all of our power chasing right after it. And then we go chasing after them. And it makes it even worse. Instead of going, oh, I honor your choice right now. This might not be a fit for you. I still love you anyway. I'll be here whenever you're ready. I continue to support and encourage you. But no, I'm not writing a check for $15,000 or, I'm not supporting your habit or whatever it might be. And that That allows us to stand in our power. We're being our REAL self, and so whenever they want to come back, see, what are they coming back to? An REAL, consistent, authentic, empowered person. Non-judgmental. I get it. You have a path to walk, by all means. Okay. So when we show up available, that's what showing up available is. It's about it's about being open and available emotionally. And I've come up with another 50 other ways that we can be available, especially for relationships and with partners and stuff like that. But emotional availability is the first one to start with. And it comes with the more REAL we are, the more emotionally available we can be first to ourselves and then to other people. My relationships that got the least best results happened because I was emotionally unavailable to myself, and that made me emotionally unavailable to my relationships. They weren't getting the real John Hyatt. They weren't being real either because they weren't responding to the REAL John Hyatt, and I got what I got, which is life. So is everybody kind of understanding these concepts? Any comments or insights from you all about some of the things that we've talked about already?
So with the real, you gotta be self-real before you can be real for others.
Yeah.
I guess that's sort of, because each one of those, the R, the E, the F, you gotta be self-respect, self-esteem, self-acceptance, self-love before you can start providing that acceptance that you give to yourself to others.
Absolutely. I have to be able to respect myself first before I can truly give you respect. Okay? The way the law of attraction works, if I'm disrespecting myself, I'm going to disrespect you. And I'm going to disrespect you because, number one, I'm faking that I have respect.
Right, and then also hurt people.
Absolutely.
So that's where it comes from.
Right.
Whether it was something external that hurt you, someone external, or just the hurt of yourself inside.
Yes.
That's where the anger emits to other people.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how we can bleed all over other people, is because we're not whole ourselves. And look, again, this is absent any standard of perfection. Nobody is perfect in any of this, and there is no perfect standard. There's only our growth and excellence on our own path on all of these things. But it comes to say that I can't demonstrate respect for you truly and sincerely and authentically if I'm not able to demonstrate respect for myself. For example, if I allow you to treat me in a certain way that is inconsistent with my values, that demonstrates self-disrespect, right? I have low respect for myself because I don't stand up for my boundaries. I allow you to treat me in an ugly way. So because I have low self-respect and I allow you to do that, I'm not treating you with respect either by withholding my boundary from you. Does that make sense? So by me saying no, stop it, or yes, more, and that's aligned with me, then I'm allowing for a real connection to take place. And so by first honoring myself with respect, I understand what respect means, and I can give that to you. And I can say, you know what, because I respect you, I can't, or I won't, or I'm not available for. It works magically when practiced. You know what, because I respect you, I think it's best that this relationship, that we just kind of go our separate ways. Because you really want something different that I'm not available to provide. Because our values are not aligned, or we see things differently. Okay? So it would disrespect you for me to keep you into this relationship. Okay? But rather, because I respect myself and I respect you you know what? Maybe it's best that we part ways. See how that lands?
Or until they come back on the journey, because you'd still be there, for if they do in the future, decide that they want to have that which you are showing to them. Because they might not at that point in time have that in themselves.
They might not have it within themselves.
Right.
And you know what? That's okay. It's not ours to give
That's
it.
the rejection.
Yeah.
They're not rejecting you. It's not a rejection that y'all shouldn't be there at that point in time. It's just that at that point in time is not the time right then that y'all are not both at the same place to be at.
Absolutely. And look, all relationships are divine. Divinely we meet, divinely we separate. I shared this today with somebody who was thinking about moving on in their relationship. It's hard. We get attached. We have a lot of feelings. There's a lot of emotions, especially with intimate partnerships. There's sex and chemistry and dynamics and things that play out that really create a bond. And when that ends, it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of grief and a lot of transition and a lot of acknowledgement. But at some point, if you're staying in a relationship because you have to, not because you want to, then you're disrespecting yourself. You're disrespecting the other person because you're chasing after them, or you're trying to manipulate or create conditions for them to stay attached to you, when in reality it would benefit both people to move on. And then if a future opportunity ever opens up, then again, you can't lose by being your REAL self. And if you come back together, you say, oh, well, it's been a while. Oh, okay, well, how are you different? Let me tell you how I'm different from the last time we were together. Oh, that's interesting. I've learned this about myself, this about myself. I'm this way, I'm more clear about this. I know that I want this, blah, 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 blah. Oh, how are you different? Oh, I'm different this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Well, are we a fit for trying again, or for moving forward, or doing something? What happens when people break up, especially in intimate relationships? Nobody changes. So then they get back together a couple months later, nobody's changed. There hasn't even been a communication about why they broke up in the first place, okay? They get back together, and then they wonder why things end up, after a short honeymoon period of whoop, 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 we're back together within a couple of weeks. It's the same old stuff coming up. It's the same old stuff coming up.
Same concessions.
Huh?
Same concessions.
Yeah.
Where you are.
Yeah. And so there's no change, there's no shift. And the number one thing I tell people that think about getting back together with somebody is, hey, by all means, if that's going to work for you, great. Here's a question to ask yourself and to ask the person and to have this conversation. How am I different? How am I going to show up available differently second time around? Where can you count on me to be different? Where can you count on me to be the same? What about you? I don't know. And absent any thought or intentional shift to grow, you're going to create the same results. It's almost guaranteed. It goes without saying.
I'm sorry.
No.
But that's you taking your responsibility, the radical responsibility for changing those things in yourself, so that you can be more in line with what you want to put out.
Yeah, that's where the real work comes. And that's why I always suggest that if people break up before they get started in again, either in the same relationship with the same person or somebody different, is that they allow some space for some introspect and some insight, and for going, wait a minute, how did I show? Isn't it interesting that the last relationship went this way? This happened, this unfolded. How did I show up? What beliefs and values and thoughts and feelings did I bring into the relationship? And did I have throughout the relationship? What results did I get from that? Were those the results that I wanted? Yes or no? If not, what new thoughts, feelings, words, or actions or skills do I need to bring in and to show up available for in order to create a different result? After my first divorce and my second, I tried to spend some serious time going, wait a minute, and had nothing to do with the partner. I mean, it was just the context. The other person just played a role, and I was like, how did I show up? Where was I available or unavailable?
Behind your back.
Yeah. Where was I unavailable? And here I was. Isn't it interesting that I had these expectations out of this relationship? Come to find out, I was completely unavailable for creating the conditions for those results to ever occur.
Because you didn't even have your reel
No.
Well,
at
not-
that.
My reel was virtually, I mean, I was still a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. It wasn't like I was miserable, but my maturity, my emotional maturity was low. And so I had no basis, no thought basis, no active mind to go, how am I showing up in the, that's education and growth and self-awareness. And look, they don't teach self-awareness in high school or middle school. They don't teach REAL,
Not even in college.
No, you don't get it anywhere.
You're immersed in the opposite. And
Yeah.
I mean, so much of that too. So talking about the role and the real self, and there's all this social programming, and most of it originating from us as consumers, right? And so the ideology there is create a need where there is none, based on insecurity for the things that you don't have.
Right.
It's keeping up with the Joneses.
Scarcity minded, lack, not enough.
And so,
Yeah.
so the first thing that is to realize that despite your level of transcendence or self-awareness, you are the things that you do, your actions, the clothes that you wear, are a result of influence. And sometimes that's not bad,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So you could be influenced to purchase a pair of shoes, nice shoes by the way.
Thank you.
Because
Johnson and Murphy.
of quality, right? Of things that have kind of true value, or you can all the way to the other end of the spectrum where it could be the most uncomfortable shoe in the world, could be physically causing you harm, but you've been influenced socially because it's golden. It's
Sure.
gold, has
It looks
So
good.
that's part of the conflict.
It's going to attract a certain person. Yeah.
Conforming to
as you form those layers, and then you bring that into a relationship, and so you inevitably get together young,
Yeah.
and so you build those things, and some of them are as a result of the relationship itself. Maybe it's what they like, or they say, it's just little comments like, I don't really like tab collars on you, or those types of things.
Yeah.
And so you end up as this person that you don't recognize, which puts you back in a cycle of not being your real self and not having self-respect.
Right.
And then you're not showing up as yourself. And so who do they really love?
Who do they love?
And you have a consciousness about that.
Because who do I love? Who do you love within yourself?
Well, and truly, somewhere inside, there's a voice that says, the person I am with you in the room is not who truly I am, or who maybe I want to be.
Right.
And then, so even if you say you love me, I know that you really don't love me. You love the projection of me.
Right.
And for some, certainly my case, that could be 15 years of that.
Sure.
So, and it doesn't mean, well, you hate brown shoes, I'm going to wear brown shoes, but it could be a multitude of those things. So I think it's really kind of powerful what you're saying about, people don't think of it in that terms to say, so you're in a marriage for 15 years and say, well, I'm not worried about them rejecting me because they're married to me. How can they reject
Right.
me? They already signed the check, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not true. And so in that same way, and I think, my divorce about that is to say, and in fact we said have said to each other is that it is about us being our best selves. And, you know, part of that is saying, not in a harsh way of rejection, but that's not even going to be on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know,
Right.
it's very...
It's safe here.
Yeah.
The biggest thing we can do in our relationships, I think, for ourselves and each other is to say, this is a safe space to be your real self, and I only want your real self. And I only want to be my real self. So that might get ugly at times. It might mean we're vulnerable, that we're speaking our truth about our feelings or our thoughts about what we really want to wear or about what we really are. But if I can't be real with you and you can't be real with me, we certainly don't have a real relationship.
Yeah.
Okay?
That was the hard hurdle, was to say, I know that you're not happy with you.
Right.
You smile all the time, you're nice and pleasant, but I know you're not being your best self.
Yeah. And so, do we want to spend our time in fakery? Okay. Or can we say, hey, you know what? I got to call BS on myself right now, honey, because I'm not speaking my truth. There's something I haven't shared with you, or that I've been trying, you know, that you're not seeing and I'm not showing you, and you don't own that. This is me. I own it. Or for us to help each other and say, you know what, I'm going to call BS because I know you're really thinking something else. You're just choosing to be passive aggressive, you know, or to think that you're protecting me by, you know, not sharing with me this information. And you know what? Can we be real?
We're too scared of the rejection.
There's too much fear around it. Yeah, this is huge fear right here. Okay.
Fear of what it will look like after.
Yeah.
Sure.
Geez, what if we break up? What if we divorce? What about the kids? I mean, you know, all of those things can happen. Same thing can happen with work. What if I lose this job? Where will I go? Where will I make money? What if I have to commute? What if I have to move? What if I have to take a pay cut? What if, you know, it can happen in any situation. Typically where it shows up the most is in our closest relationships, though. So that's why I'm kind of using it as a context. But in the business world, this is the same thing. Don't our clients and customers deserve the REAL, Bill Starrett, doing what he does best? Being completely honest and open with your clients about assessing their needs, being honest with what you can provide and when you can provide it, and, you know, meet their expectations. The same thing is...
In the business world, it's getting more and more competitive as time goes on. Now more than any time that I've ever known, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's really like a eat.
So do people go to more to fakery, or do they go to more to being real? What would be the more attractive result for a business?
Real is in some
vulnerable.
terms, but it is a unique value proposition in a climate that is trending in that direction.
Yeah.
And I think the best companies who have real sustainable platforms are focused on that. And unfortunately, it has to be contrived a bit because, you know, you have to exist within the rules of engagement. But those that promote that ideology, I think, are really successful, and they have happy and successful employees who don't feel as though, you know, they have to turn their big pens into shivs and find their ways to the top.
Took them in the hallway
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Well, right. We've all been in those environments, I'm sure, if you've spent any time in any workforce.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just like,
sure.
I may have to kill someone in order to
Right.
either stay there or get ahead.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Right. No, it's this...
hopefully that's not your real self.
Right. So this whole concept of, look, I want to be my real self. I'm committed to being my real self. And you know what? Wherever I go, I'm committed to allowing other people to be their real self. I want to create conditions for them to feel safe and secure and being their real self. Whether it's a business, partner or opportunity, whether it's a family member or my partner or my kid, if my kids can't be real with me, their dad, there's something wrong in that equation. Or I'm creating conditions, we're creating conditions for all sorts of additional drama and pain that would be if it's like, hey, just be real with me, it's okay. I'm not going to reject you. It's impossible for my kids to reject my love for them. That's impossible. And so, when you leave here tonight, just give some thought to how real am I being? How real am I being in my relation? How real am I being with myself? Do I really believe what I say I believe? Or do I have some old beliefs that I fake believe because I've never really looked at it and I've never had the courage to toss out old beliefs that I know really don't serve me anymore? And I haven't invested the work to develop a new belief to replace it, because depending on the belief, that can take a little bit of work. Do you have that courage to take this kind of work requires brutal self-honesty with yourself and going, you know what, I'm calling it bull on myself because I'm not being real. That's a fake belief. That's an illusion. That's an excuse. How old is it? Decades old. Yep, that's the same place I've been going to for the last 20 years because I think it's true or it fits my narrative. It sets me up.
Earlier, it's your system.
Yeah.
The way you were raised, everything, all of your beliefs and everything is your system.
Right.
And the person that you're involved with, they have their own system too.
They have their own.
And it could be as messed up as yours.
Sure. Well, and this is how...
It's hard to come together.
It is hard.
Real people.
And that's why it takes cycles. People talk about breaking the cycle. Well, that's where I wrote this. Sometimes you got to blow things up. You got to, whoa, wait a minute. This belief doesn't work for me anymore. And when I'm honest about it, this relationship was over a long time ago. It's time for me to blow it up and get out. Okay? Or this job really isn't working for me. I've been faking in this job. I really hate it. I really want to go do something else. It's time for me to blow it up and put in my notice.
It's the A-team approach.
Yeah.
They're always blowing it up.
Yeah.
To get out of the situation.
Yeah. And so what that does is it creates energy. It creates momentum. It creates change. And instead of resisting, this is where my favorite term that has radical in it is this one, and it's up there on the wall, is radical trust. This is where I go, wow, I don't have the answers. I don't know where my next job is going to be. I'm not sure where my next relationship is going to be or how long it's going to be that I might have to be alone or, oh my God, back in the dating scene or, whatever it is. But I have trust that I'm being divinely led, that I've always been divinely led, that I'm being divinely led now, and that I'll be divinely led moving forward. And I can be certain in the uncertainty. I can be comfortable in the uncomfortableness of change because I have a deep, abiding, radical trust. And where is it? It's in the REAL. If I have low REAL, there's no way I trust myself. I don't trust my decisions. Oh, that relationship sucked. That relationship went bad. That job didn't work out. That time I tried to start a business, it failed. Okay. So if I have those beliefs running in my mind, that sabotages me. It sabotages my effort if I go, oh, that failure was really okay. I learned a lot. Oh, that relationship, looking back, was the best thing that ever happened to me because I learned the value of this, and this. And I'm looking at it through that perspective. Oh, I can trust myself because I was supposed to have that relationship, supposed to fail at that job in order for me to learn essential things that I can take now to create something different. And that's where that element of trust in that REAL comes in and goes, I got this. I've got no clue where I might have to live. I've got no clue where this job is. But what do I want? I want a job that easy commute, this pay, this type of people, this type of opportunity, and I have an abundance mindset that says there's an infinite number of jobs out there like that. I can step away from this. This is not my only source. I have unlimited and infinite sources available to me. When you have that mindset, you have empowerment. And you can go, no thank you. No thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
I'm done.
Take
Bless
the
you.
monkey back.
Yep, here's your monkey back. It was a nice monkey, or it was a terrible monkey. But you know what? All of your monkeys, all your stuff, I'm just going to cut, release, and allow you to have your own monkeys back. Whether you want them or not, it's not mine. You don't have to take them back. They'll go somewhere.
I respect you there.
Right.
Your monkeys.
And you know, I know that you love your monkeys, and those are the monkeys you're supposed to have. But with that comes a sense of peace, clarity, and confidence that says, I've got no clue which direction to take my business, or I'm really not sure. I know I want to do something, and is this good enough? It develops peace when you go, you know what? Because my REAL is high, and because I have an abundance mindset,
And I'm exactly
where I'm supposed to be, and because I know what I want. At least I have an idea of it. I've got 3 options, 1, 2, or 3. You know what? If I'm brutally honest, option 2 looks like the best. I can't make a mistake. No matter what I choose, I'm going to learn from it. See, if I think I'm going to make a mistake by making a certain choice, then I'm frozen. I've got analysis paralysis and I can't move. Okay? Because I could, either one of them could be a mistake. If I go, these are 3 options. They're all decent options. I've thought about that. Okay? I'm going to go with option 2. So let's see with option 2. And I see it, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. Knowing that if it doesn't stick, it's okay. Option 1 or option 3 are still available, or an option 4 may become available out of the result of the energy that I put into action 2. I'm going to be okay. I can't lose. The only way I can lose if I don't do anything. Then I'm not getting any results. I'm still learning this, but I'm just not getting any results. That's when you dive in, you say, I've got this business idea, here's my model, how can I get started? That's why massive action becomes important. That's why blowing things up matters. How can I jumpstart this idea? What's the first thing I can do? I'm going to get a business card. I'm going to go find a space, just like you did. Zen Den, Reiki. Yeah, it's what I want to do. I kind of have an idea of how it might work. I don't know for sure. I've talked to some people. I've gotten information. Being informed and getting information is important. But you know what? Let me go get my first space. Let me go get my first card. Let me go get my first client. Let me throw my model out there and see what happens. See what kind of results I get. And I've taken rejection off the table. I've taken failure off the table. I can't fail, I can only learn. So if I take the whole concept and limiting idea of failure off the table and instead just replace it with, I'm going to learn. Okay? Failure is not an option. Learning is the only option. So I'm going to learn, I'm going to do my best, see what happens. Same thing with a relationship. You know? Oh, I've been married before. Okay, got divorced. Well, okay, well, do I ever want to get married again? If so, how do I want it to be different? Oh, should I? Would I? Well, if I throw it to the wall, all I can do is throw it at the wall and see if it sticks again. I'm certainly a different person now than I was before. Okay? What do I have to lose? What am I afraid of? And you double check those things. And you go, well, wait a minute, where's my source? My source is in here, my REAL source. If I can keep expanding and growing that, I really don't have anything. All the things I think I'm worried about are still part of the same old story of scarcity and ego and rejection that have always held me back. You know, we all have those little thoughts in our head that whenever we're up against something challenging, there's some little thought that pops in there. And if you just ask yourself, there's that thought again. How old is it? I know when I did that with myself, I mean, it was decades old. The same, almost the exact same voice, the exact same words, the exact same worries would come creeping in. And I'm like, where is that? What is up with that? How old is that? Do I want to keep this old belief? Has it ever served me? How has it served me? And then you take an intentional, deliberate shift to say, old belief, gone. And at the time I said, I don't even know what my new belief exactly is, but I'm open to creating a new belief for this situation that brings peace, clarity, confidence, movement, optimism, feels good. And in a short period of time, I had a newer belief. And by unplugging, because we're all wired, by unplugging from that old belief and plugging into a new belief, your brain literally rewires. You start to use different affirmations, and that's where the technique of scripting really comes in, which is all about writing as if you already have what you want, as if you already have it, and describing what it looks like, feels like, and sounds like. Oh, my perfect new job looks like this. It feels like this. It sounds like this. And I start to get real specific about those qualities of the job. My job search looks like, feels like, sounds like this. Because we can be in job search mode and man, it can be miserable. You know, we're like, what the hell? I've sent out X number of resumes. I've looked at all the job boards. There's nothing there. And if that's our perspective, guess what? There is nothing there. If we say, that's BS. Infinite opportunities out there. Okay? I'm being divinely led every click of the mouse. Every day I get on the computer or make a phone call, I'm open to opportunities. My job search looks like this, feels like this, sounds like that. And you describe things in those kind of terms. Get yourself, it's the perfect time, there's a new year coming up, go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or whatever and get a nice journal. Okay, this is a writing exercise. And you open up the first page and the first thing you want to do is just write a short dedication in there to dedicate your scripting journal to what you want, to manifesting your dreams. And then you start scripting. And gratitude is one of the biggest things you can script. We just finished celebrating Thanksgiving last week, and I love the power of gratitude. More than any other expression, it can change your vibration like that. If you're sad, angry, resentful, beaten up on yourself, the instant you go to gratitude, you open up a new, higher vibration. Even if it's just for little things. Oh, look at that tree. That's an awesome... Have you ever looked at trees and just realized how freaking awesome trees are? Trees are awesome.
I took a picture when yesterday
I know.
on my walk.
There's so much going on. There's so much going on in a tree. And we only see part of it.
Yeah, let's put some on the ground.
Yeah, the roots, everything that's going underground, all the stuff that's going inside the tree, the length of time and the process that trees go through. I love trees.
They have just like how our brains have like hormones and different kind of chemical reactions. They have the same thing too. It's just the part that we see above the ground is the part they use to reproduce. All those hormone and chemical reactions are happening in the ground, and they can communicate. And so I've seen like some trees, like if you put one will take in the carbon dioxide. If you give it too much, it'll release into the ground so the other tree can have it.
Sure.
You know.
No, and that's fascinating. I've heard the same thing. The The roots and the things are all connected. All the trees in the forest are connected to a whole system under the ground that nobody ever sees.
They transfer, like if
Yeah.
the tree's getting attacked, or if the tree's like there's like something damaging one tree, it'll send out the message, and all the other trees will hear it, and they'll change their behavior
Yeah.
based on that one tree getting changed so it's in the living environment.
It really, yeah, thank you for sharing that, Shane. It really is a fascinating thing. And so when you're scripting, you want to have a vision of what it is that you want. What are you trying to create? Remember, you are a powerful creator. You know, you two are going to create a marriage. Have you set a date? What's the date again?
November 3rd.
November 3rd, next year. Okay, that's awesome. Okay? But marriage and a couple is a prime example of choosing what you want to create. And I challenge you, whenever you have a rough spot, look at each other and say, what are we creating right now? And what do we want to create? What do we want to create? How do we want to create this conversation? How do we want to create this moment? How do we want to create a solution? How do we want to create a compromise? How do we want to create a parenting situation? And simply by asking yourself that question, or somebody else you're in a relationship with, it changes the whole dynamic, because it reminds everybody that we're creating something and we have a choice to what we want to create. Nobody's forcing us to create anything. I've helped people create divorces that go completely different than your typical divorce. But that's because they were open to creating something different. And so when you're scripting, be super descriptive. Use powerful affirmative terms. Those are some terms you can use right there. Divine time and order. Radical divine right action. I am divinely led to divine right action today in this meeting with this client. I am prepared, open, and available to communicate. I am professional, articulate, charismatic. I radiate love, energy, excitement towards this opportunity. They feel it. They love me. I love them. At the end of the day, we are open to doing business together. If not, we release each other and thank each other for the opportunity to meet. I mean, that's what scripting looks like, feels like, and sounds like. It aligns our thoughts, words, feelings, and actions in alignment so that we show up authentic and consistent with ourselves. And it does that by putting it in writing. You really get clear. We can have a lot of ideas in our head, but there's so much stuff going on in our head, and it's changing so frequently that we can lose track of the crystal vision that we really want to develop about something that's important to us. But by writing it down, you put it out there. And so scripting is about relationships, money, jobs, health, personal growth. And you script about those 5 things. I guarantee you, if you practice scripting as a technique, your life will freaking change. I guarantee it will change. And some change will happen in the same day that you write it. Some takes a little while longer. Some things, as you describe in here, might not come along, but probably because you use the term, I am open to receiving this or something better, okay? And you're led to something else that really works for you and vibrates in alignment with you. I guarantee your life will change. And it will be a sooner rather than later time frame. It really works. Are there any questions about anything that we've talked about tonight? I'm excited that you all came. I'm grateful for your participation. Each one of you is a powerful creator. You've already created great things. You've already demonstrated your greatness. Embrace your greatness, allow yourself to feel great and be great, and allow the same for others, and watch your life change. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Remember the blue bowl, and see you again soon. Thank you.